This is a brand new book called Goodnight, Austin. It's kind of like Goodnight Moon. It makes a nice going to bed bedtime story. Goodnight, Austin by Allison Amador. Goodnight, Congress Bridge bats, and to the man who sells funny hats. Goodnight, treaty oak with your branches so old. Goodnight, hike and bike trail where we love to stroll. Goodnight, cupcakes. Goodnight, trailers. Goodnight, mariachis and gospel players. Goodnight, Amy's ice cream on hot summer days. Goodnight, wildflowers that set the highways ablaze. Goodnight, Barton Springs, a gem to us all. Goodnight, Peter Pan, looking so tall. Goodnight, Museum with a great Texas star. Goodnight, Stevie Ray with your thrilling guitar. Goodnight, Zilker train, through the tunnel we go. Goodnight, Children's Museum, where our minds can grow. Goodnight, Lake Austin with your waters so green. Goodnight, Lake Travis with your sailboats that gleam. Goodnight, Longhorns in your tower that will say, the eyes of Texas are upon you all the livelong day. Goodnight to the kites over Zilker Park. Goodnight, Christmas lights, so dizzy after dark. Goodnight to the animals at the Austin Zoo. We're so happy they rescued you. Goodnight, cyclists crossing the 360 bridge. Goodnight, Nature Center and the dino bones we dig. Goodnight, Capitol with your towering dome. Goodnight to the trees the grackles call home. Goodnight, Wildflower Center, something's always in bloom. I see your winding paths when dreaming in my room. Goodnight, farmers markets and Whole Foods. Your tasty treats put us in happy moods. Goodnight, moonlight towers, and thanks for your light. When I'm scared of the dark, you make things bright. Goodnight, downtown buildings that soar up above. Goodnight, Austin, city that I love. Good night, sweet dreams. Love you.